Good morning and welcome to Camping with Roo, a summer reading adventure. Every week, the Roo Crew heads out on an adventure. I wonder where Miss Roosalina is headed this week. It looks like she's coming to a place surrounded by trees. I wonder what she's doing today.
Hello, friends! We are on a camping adventure today. Have you been camping before? When you go camping, sometimes you might stay in a cabin or you might stay in a tent. It's kind of neat because you can hear all the sounds around you outside, and you can even cook your food outside. That's pretty special and pretty neat. You can cook outside at home, but it's not quite the same as when you go camping. I wonder if you will go camping this summer or sometime during the year. And if you've never been camping before, I think the Roo Crew has picked out a very special book. Let's head over and see what they're reading today.
Hello, friends, and welcome to our first Camping with Roo story time. We are so glad you're joining us for today's story. We have picked out a fun book. Are you ready to find out what it is? A Camping Spree with Mr. McGee. Let's go! A Camping Spree with Mr. McGee by Chris Van Dusen. Early one morning at 7:03, Mr. McGee and his little dog Dee packed up the camper and hitched up the load, hopped in the Rambler, and then hit the road. They drove to the mountains, far from the sea, for 2 nights of camping, or possibly 3. There's nothing like camping, said Mr. McGee. I know you will love it. Just you wait and see. The views are fantastic. There's hardly a sound. Aside from the wildlife, there's no one around. And the air is so sweet, you'll sleep like a log, said Mr. McGee to his small spotted dog. A few hours later, they took a sharp right and found a great spot to lay camp for the night. It was high on a hill with a beautiful view of Mount Adams, Mount Lincoln, and Jefferson too. But perhaps the most wonderful feature of all was the brook that ran over a steep waterfall. Dee gathered pine cones and branches and logs. McGee made a campfire and cooked some hot dogs. And as the sun set behind far distant knolls, they sat roasting marshmallows over the coals. As the embers went out, they felt tired and dozy, so they climbed in their bunk beds, all comfy and cozy. But while they were falling asleep without a care, along came a stumbling, bumbling bear. A kindly old bear whose sight wasn't so clear. He couldn't see far and he couldn't see near. But he could smell marshmallows, sticky and sweet. This smell made him hungry. He wanted a treat. He sniffed out the place where the marshmallows lay, but the car and the camper were in the bear's way. Yet that didn't stop the sneaky old snitch. He simply tried squeezing right under the hitch. And as he was shimmying into the gap, he pushed up the hitch, which let go with a snap. Now that the camper and car were untied, they started to roll down the rocky hillside. The car bounced away on the old logging road while the camper was heading to where the streams flowed. It flew down a hill in a wild, bumpy ride with Dee and McGee sleeping soundly inside. They were snoring and snoozing, enjoying a dream, when splash went the camper right into the stream. The splash shook the camper. They bumped out of bed. Now what in the world was that? McGee said. And when he looked out and saw where they were, his hair stood on end, and so did Dee's fur. They were caught in the rapids, but that wasn't all. They are headed smack dab for the big waterfall. Dee and McGee both started to quiver as faster and faster they headed down river. But just when they thought they'd fall over the edge, their camper got stuck on a rock at the ledge. So there they were, stranded, McGee and his pup, on top of a waterfall 50 feet up, while that nearsighted bear from before was searching for one little marshmallow more. When lo and behold, as if out of a dream, he spied something sweet floating over the stream. But what the bear thought was a marshmallow treat was really the hitch and not something to eat. The bear was determined to capture his prize, so he jumped in the water right up to his thighs. He splashed through the stream to the edge of the fall and snatched up the trailer hitch, camper and all. Dee felt a tug. McGee heard a knock as the bear pulled the camper right off the rock. He dragged them both all the way back to the bank. When he realized the hitch was not sweet, but quite rank, he spit out the hitch and left in dismay, while McGee and Dee's camper again rolled away. It flew down the path with a jolt and a jar and stopped in some bushes right next to the car. Dee popped her head out. McGee looked out too. Had they really stopped rolling? Could it be true? At last, things were quiet and peaceful and still. They hooked up the hitch and drove off down the hill. And on the way home, McGee said to Dee, "That trip wasn't quite like I thought it would be." So when they got home, with the sky turning red, they decided to camp in the backyard instead. What did you think of that story, friends? Would you read it again? Do you have an outdoor reading guidebook? If not, that's okay. We'll link them below so you can get your own. But if you have an outdoor reading guidebook, you can win a prize just for reading all summer long. And we'll help you each week. During Camping with Roo, fill up your book. Make sure you mark where you've been reading. Where are you reading today with the Roo Crew? We are camping, so we are reading by a tent today. And you can put in your guidebook whether or not you would read this book again. So up at the top, you write the name of the book, write today's date. It is June 23rd, 2021. And also put, how are you feeling? What was your favorite part of the book? What's the weather like where you are? Who are the main characters? And the most important question, would you read this again? Keep adding pages all summer long and see how big of a guidebook can you create? And maybe your outdoor reading guidebook can be a guide to others to show them great books that they can read during a summer adventure. We hope you enjoyed today's story, and you'll join us again right here next week for Camping with Roo, a summer reading adventure. Where do you think we'll go next week? And what will we do? Bye, friends.